All right, here we go. Nick Cannon.
Yo.
You know, we've done little interviews here and there, but this is our first real sit down.
Yeah, it's our real sit. I mean, we done stuff on the spot, you know what I mean? And we've been talking for a minute to try to set this up. So I'm glad it's happening, beloved.
I appreciate it. Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
throwing the tax stone in there, huh? Beloved.
The knowledge itself, a little tax in there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because me and you go back to like, my God, like Mix Show Power Summit 2004 or
Yeah,
something.
man.
You had just done Drumline, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you telling our age right now, Vlad. We
I
trying
know,
to stay
right?
young
I
out
know.
here. in these
We still
streets.
20. We still 25.
Exactly.
Nah, but congratulations. Like I've seen you like reinvent yourself over and over again. And you know, I mean, you see a lot of people from that time come and
Yeah.
go, but you've done this, then done that, and then done something else and continue to flip it. And,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
it's dope.
It's just because I love the game, man. Like, I could have gracefully bowed out and been sitting up somewhere with my feet up years ago, you know what I mean, from the financially. But it's like, I love it, man. I love entertaining. I was born to be an entertainer. I was born to use my voice. So I just do it for the culture now. Right now, I'm really more in it for giving other people opportunities. You know what I mean? I do it, because I do have, somewhat of a conglomerate of different things going on within the industries and, everything from consumer products to entertainment and stuff. But I just utilize that to find new talent and to give new people the opportunity to utilize their voice.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because I think people don't realize the breadth of your businesses.
Yeah.
So let's break down the major businesses. I mean, obviously you got side hustles and you got this and that, but like the major part of your income, like where does that come from?
It depends. It depends what month it is. But obviously, if you just want to get on the corporate side, I've been doing tons of investments and being an angel investor and a lot of stuff, but specifically in consumer electronics, specifically Radio Shack. I'm the chief creative officer of that company. Just because
What does that mean exactly? A chief creative officer?
Yeah,
of Radio
you know what?
Shack?
Because a lot of people get that title, but to me, it was a little bit different. And then I'll take a step back because previously, before I even got in business with Radio Shack, I started my own headphone company with Monster. Right on the tails of Beats by Dre. Dre was still with Monster at that time, and where Dre's headphones were, $300, mine were half the price, we were actually still using the same manufacturer. And from 2010 to date, we generated over $100 million in sales in headphones. So
What, just your headphones?
just
made
my
100
headphones.
million.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
So,
Okay.
That's
what's up. No, I'm happy for you. Okay,
That's
break
one
it
of those
down.
things where that's just, but that I didn't really want to put it out there, or we purposely wasn't out there to be like, oh, look at all this money that we're making selling headphones. But it's that is definitely a nice check that comes every quarter. But what I did, I parted ways with Monster and jumped in with Radio Shack because we have over 2,000 retail stores that gave me the freedom and the opportunity to revamp them. So we're rechanging the stores, and I'm putting the radio back in Radio Shack. I'm bringing music into the stores. I'm bringing artists into the stores, DJs. That's the place I got my first mixer, my first microphone. So I'm trying to bring all that energy back, and to be able to do that and to invest into the company, you know what I mean, and have a piece of something more than just trying to get a license fee and all of that stuff. So it's a pretty big deal. And so that's one corporate job that I have. Then, I also have another corporate job up at Viacom, which is, everybody knows Viacom owns everything from BET, MTV, MTV2, Nickelodeon, Comedy Central. And, I'm one of the, if not the youngest executive, definitely the youngest black executive over there. And I got the job as the youngest television chairman in 2008 of Teen Nick. And kind of always been a curator and someone who is kind of keeping the culture alive in the MTV, BET, Nickelodeon world. So that's been a nice little situation since 2008. And then even before that, I've always been in the Viacom family from everything, just off of creating Wild 'N Out alone. You know what I mean? It's been love and quite lucrative. And then I also have, so I have my Viacom deal that I could do anything I want to do in VH1, MTV, all of that lane. But then I also have even bigger deal with like my NBC Universal World, you know, and that's where you see America's Got Talent. That's where you see my show that I produce called Caught on Camera that comes on NBC every Friday night. And NBC Universal, they own everything from E to Bravo, NBC, USA Networks, all of that stuff. So my thing is like I've been, you know, moving my hands a lot behind the scenes since I was a teenager, man. And you know, it's cool to jump in front of the camera and show off for a little bit, but the real moves get made behind the camera.
Right. I mean, you're talking about from Viacom to NBC to Radio Shack.
Yeah, and then
like
also because when you think like Viacom also owns Paramount Pictures, NBC is also Universal Pictures, so you know I'm producing and directing movies and doing a bunch of stuff like that too in that space.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So those are probably the three most lucrative, and then obviously there's, you know, my label, you know, that we have is also, you know, I got artists signed everywhere from Universal Republic to Atlantic to Sony and all of that stuff, and everything is up under my company, which is called Incredible. It's the Incredible brand. It's always branded on me somewhere.
Wow. So you got like 15 jobs. Like
I got a lot of jobs.
Like Heyman from Living Color.
Exactly.
Except all your jobs are big jobs.
Yeah. But we have fun with it. To me, I feel like my job is to wake up each and every day and be creative. So that's a blessing.
Right, because you know when you look up Nick Cannon on, you know, Celebrity Net Worth or whatever, it says like 50 million. But knowing what I know about money, that sounds kind of light.
This is what I say. The richest people in the world are not on the Forbes list. They don't want you to know how much money they got. And
Right.
I'm one of those people, man. I've never wanted to put it out there. Like, because it's silly. Like, what does that do for me? Like, I think I went through my egotistical baller stage, you know, back in the day, in the early 2000s. I bought every car, every piece of jewelry, every house that I ever wanted. Now it's just like, man, it's about the community. It's about philanthropy. So you can say I got $5. It don't matter, but it's a lot of money being generated. Let's just say that.
Congrats, man.
Thank
Congrats.
you.
That's big. It's inspirational.
Yeah, man.
It's definitely inspirational.
100%.
So let's talk about your new mixtape. Like, number one, with all the shit you just talked about, all these 7-figure checks that are coming your way, why on earth would you stop what you're doing and put together a free mixtape project?
But that's the thing. I never stopped any of all that other stuff. That stuff is ongoing. And to be honest, man, it's therapeutic. I'm an artist at heart. And that's the thing. I never stopped. You know, I've been DJing, you know, for years. You know what I mean? I started DJing in 1996. I started making beats and all of that stuff, and then just continued on. And you know, I've been writing and producing for cats ever since then. I just wasn't putting out my own personal music because, you know, I was doing stuff like focusing on being the best husband I could be and being the best father. You know, and like when you're a husband, you can't be making records about bitches and hoes and and whips and all that stuff. I was trying to stay focused and keep my eye on the prize in that sense. But I had never stopped making music, so I would make records and get them to other people. And but this time, especially when you hear the title of the tape, is the gospel. I turn up my side of the story. I mean, people are always in my business. I'm on TMZ every single day about something. And it's like they never get the story right. And I was like, yo, you know what? I just used to go in the studio and just do these freestyles about the real shit. And people were like, man, you should just put something together. And I came at it from an R&B soulful approach because really, man, it was therapeutic. When you're going through a divorce and going through all type of other stuff with new women, and I needed an outlet. And that's really why I did it. I didn't do it to be like, yo, I'm back out here, none of that stuff. It's like, because to me, in my mind, I never left. I mean, I created the only hip-hop show that has ran for over a decade that every rapper comes through, that I do every beat on Wildin' Out, I write everything, you know what I mean? So, like, I got my hip-hop outlet. I'm freestyling on every episode. So, to me, in my mind, I never left.
I feel you. Now, when you look at the people that are on it, well, number one, Gucci Mane was a little bit of a shock.
That's my joint, the Wasted record. Well, first, and I got to give credit. That's to my man Zaytoven, who is the hottest producer in the game right now. And he don't work with just everybody, but I got such a love and affinity for that dude. just based off of his talent. He's a true musician, and I think we connected on an artist level. And you know, we got some ties and all that stuff because we know each other. And you know, he from the Bay. I got my team out there, all of that type stuff. So me and Zay have been talking for some months about doing some stuff. And then I know Gucci forever. You know, I mean, from back when, you know, So Icy days and stuff like that. So. And when he got out, I connected with him and pulled up on him, and we talked and chopped it up. And to see him in such beautiful spirits, I was like, yo, man, we got to do something. He's like, man, I heard you back at it. So, you know, we jumped on that Wasted joint and went crazy.
I mean, didn't Gucci have another song called Wasted?
That was the because this is my record, and if you listen to it, it's has more of a R&B soulful vibe. I mean, we both rhyming on it, but the hook is like, you know, real singy and stuff. So I was like, yo, let me do the Ike Turnup version. I came up with the concept of Wasted. He said the hook, and you know, so if you want to call it Wasted Part 2, or this is Ike Turnup's Wasted. It's a little different.
Right. I mean, who else is on there? Quavo
Quavo came through and blessed it.
Jeremiah's on a couple songs.
Yeah.
Keke Palmer, that was a pretty cool one.
She went crazy. We're gonna do the crazy video for that one. That one's gonna be ill. Christina Milian, she on there. Like, so it's like it's my real life, man. It's stuff that, you know, I'm apologizing on records. I'm making announcements on records. So it's like it was truly like a therapy session for me.
I mean, why are you singing on it? That's what I want to know.
You know what? A couple of reasons. One, and I always go back, like, if you even listen to the stuff that I was doing, like, in the late 90s, I was singing and rapping back then, but it wasn't cool to do both back then. You had to do one or the other, and I remember that was even an issue at the label a lot of times. It was like, yo, do you want to be an R&B singer or you want to be a rapper? You can't be both. And so I leaned more towards the rap stuff and stopped singing the hooks and stopped singing the records and stuff. So then, gradually, even my pen game, I just found myself doing all of this R&B stuff, and then obviously, you know, the company that you keep, being married to Mariah and being in sessions and all that stuff, I was really in that phase. And then you see these young cats like Bryson and Drake coming out doing both, and I was like, yo, I got excited. I was like, yo, they doing what I've been doing. I was like, I'm so happy that the game has embraced cats to just be creative and be artists, and you don't have to just be a spitter. You don't have to just be an R&B singer. You can bring it all together. And then, because I know it's an uphill battle. Cats necessarily, whether it's from Wildin' Out or because they might have been introduced to me from Nickelodeon, they don't necessarily want to hear Nick Cannon bars off top. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to let them shoot at this. I ain't even going to come with no bars. I'm going to sing this whole thing and show you my talent level on that aspect. And you know, you can say what you want. And it's kind of perfect because I'm talking about my personal life. It is cuffing season. It's for the ladies. So it all made sense.
You say that, you know, the other jobs don't stop, but I mean, you know how business is, and a lot of it has to do with focus.
Oh, 100%.
You know, the time you spend working on this stuff does take away from your main jobs.
It's all about time management. And when you have a strong team and when you're at the top, you know what I mean? I make sure I answer every email, approve every SKU, approve every creative decision, whatever we got to get going. But I'm a 24/7 type of dude. So when everybody else is done with their 9 to 5, I go to the studio, or I go to the comedy club, or I go and write a movie script, or you know what I mean? So that stuff, I make sure my day to day is on point. You know, I wake up every morning at 5 a.m. and make sure stuff is intact.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I wake up at like 5 or even 4 a.m. most mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, whenever I text you, you hit me back like that.
Yeah, it's like
you're
gotta
on
be
it.
on top of it. Unless it's
Yeah,
about
man.
some gossip that I don't feel like talking about at that time.
Well, but remember, you know, I put you up on some bullshit though. You know, I mean, I give you the early warning sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm
now
like, hey.
you do. That's what friends are for, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I always say, man, you gotta have good friends in the media, especially if you're gonna be successful in this business.
No doubt. Now, you actually put your ex on, Christina Milian, on this project. Like,
Yeah.
How did that work out?
Man, you know, it's all love. I don't think there's anyone that I've ever dealt with that there's bad blood. You know what I mean? Obviously, emotions get involved, and at times things need to cool off for a second. But, man, I like good frequencies, and I never like to leave anything in a bad way. And that was just one example to show, like, yo, we may not be together anymore, but I'll forever love her. You know what I mean? And for us to be able to have fun on a record, and that record is pretty much saying like, yo, she said she moved on, she don't need me no more. And so like we had fun and played that up, so it was smooth.
Well, speaking of exes, Kim Kardashian is one of your exes.
She is. And I talk about it. I talk about how we met and how we unmet and all of that stuff on the tape.
Right, because I think you had mentioned before that you guys were cool until she denied that the sex tape was coming out.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was an interesting run, but I was during the sex tape time. You know what I mean? And it was, people actually didn't really know who she was. She was kind of known as like, at the time, like a stylist that was working in Hollywood, and or Paris Hilton's best friend, or my girl. You know what I mean? So we were trying to do a lot of stuff. I was encouraging them. It's like, yo, you guys could do a reality show. And I was like introducing them to different people and all that stuff like this, because nobody knew who
Oh, wait, so you could have been Ryan Seacrest.
I actually, very much so. Almost to the point that I might have dished it off because I didn't want to be involved in it in that sense early on.
Wow. Okay, that would have been a nice check right there as well.
Yeah, it'd been an alright one. I got a few like those.
Okay, so were you dating her while she was messing with Ray J too, or what happened?
Nah, you know how Hollywood is, man. Everybody be dating everybody out there. Honestly, I think it was during a similar time, but I think it was right. Ray J obviously was with her before, and I was probably right after. But what happened, I guess the tape was probably within a year or two's time or whatever, and it didn't come out until later, until when we were together. So when it came out, all the press, I was getting hit with all the press because she was with me, and it was like, yo, is this your girl? And so it got a little shaky. My ego got involved, you know what I mean? And my agents and managers was like, yo, you got to get out of there. What is going on? Why are you with this girl who's got this sex tape out with Ray J? And Ray is my man. Like, Ray even gave me a little forewarning beforehand.
Oh, really? What was that conversation like?
You know what? Because it's like Ray's always been a good dude and a friend of mine. And I always say Hollywood is like high school, man. Like, your girlfriend from 9th grade ends up dating your partner in the 11th grade and all that stuff. So I remember we was all on like Rodeo, and we had just came out of the Louis store, and Ray was across the street. And it was funny because he was messing with this chick that, I guess him and Kim got into it with. And I used to always make fun of him for that. And so I said something slick to him. Like, hey, he's like, go do something with the other chick. And he was like, you saying that now? You over there holding hands now? You ain't going to be wanting to do that in a few weeks. And I was like, what you talking about? I think he just giving me shit, you know what I mean? And I cut to a few weeks later, the damn tape come out. I was like, that's what that nigga was talking about.
Wait, and I guess you had said that Kim had denied it when you confronted her with it?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to put her out there like that, like she was just trying to deny it. I think is what, any young girl would do when, you're put in a compromising and embarrassing situation and you're in love with someone else. I confronted her about it. I'm like, yo, I hear, people are telling me that there's this wild sex tape that you got going on. She was like, no, absolutely not. And then the story went from absolutely not to, well, we did make one, but I have it. Wait, I thought I had it. Now I can't find it. And I'm like, by that time, I was like, I actually didn't read the tape. If she would have kept it a G, things could have been different. But the fact that she, didn't necessarily keep it on an honest level with me, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And everybody, kind of testing my ego and telling me I should be making better decisions kind of made me roll out.
Well, I mean, here's the thing about sex tapes is that you can't leak a sex tape commercial.
Exactly.
Like she had to sign off on that.
And I learned all of this as it went on. And it was like, hey, I salute her. She's an outstanding businesswoman. She used to talk about her plan and how she was going to build her empire even from way back then. And, you know, I got her like, it was funny. I remember her first cover was on Complex. And I remember having to convince the dudes over at Complex to give her a cover, and like if you look at that cover, it says, "Who is Kim Kardashian?" And it's just like I was like, "Yo, y'all, I'm telling you, she gonna be the next hottest chick in Hollywood. Y'all need to do this." And like, I guess I was right.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, one of the things that was kind of interesting when I was going through my research here is that you're anti-abortion.
That's funny. Actually, I'm not. I would say I'm not pro-choice, and I'm not pro-life. You know what I mean? I'm not. I have nothing. I have such an issue with these two-party systems. I mean, W.E.B. Du Bois said it best. He was like, "There's just one evil party with two names." But we get into this idea that you have to be on this side or this side. You have to be right or left. You have to be liberal or conservative. I'm neither of those. And specifically when it comes to abortion, if you notice the things that I said, I never said the word abortion. I never said any of that stuff. Like, even that's what I said. I'm not pro-choice. I'm not pro-life. I'm pro-Nick, you know, because my mother did go to an abortion clinic to abort me. But that never made me say I feel one way or another, because as a man, I don't have the right to speak on what a woman should do with her body. And I don't feel like the government should have the right. I don't feel like any organization that makes money should have the right to tell a woman what she can or cannot do with her body. A woman should make that decision. And so that's why I don't speak on that. Now, but if we want to just get to the facts, there's certain things that I don't agree with because of the way that this system is set up. And when I speak on things, whether it's Planned Parenthood or even the idea of the government having a decision on what women should do with their bodies, I'm against that totally, because I feel like it's a systemic issue. When you look at what, you know, Margaret Sanger and you know, all the people who follow, you know, eugenics and all that stuff, it was all about cleansing. It was all about, you know, Margaret Sanger said that, you know, she wanted to exterminate the Negro race, and that she was going to use her organization that she founded to do so. And it actually didn't have me. It wasn't, to me, it wasn't about abortions. I never speak on abortions. It was more about the sterilization and what they started with when it comes to just actually ethnic cleansing, where they actually said, we want to get rid of a class of people, a group of people. You know what I mean? And they like to label feeble-minded or lower class, using terms when they were, that's what they used in public. In private, they were talking about the black communities. And so it starts with everyone from the sterilization. They were utilizing these clinics to say, oh yeah, we're helping you, but they were injecting them with diseases. I mean, and it goes not just from there. We can go to the Tuskegee experiment. We can go to the 80s and 90s when they were injecting people with HIV. Like, all of this stuff is real, but people don't ever want to talk about that because they rather have the simple conversation, are you pro-choice or pro-life? That's not what I'm not in that fight. I can't speak on that because I'm not a woman.
Okay, but right now, Planned Parenthood, I mean, I've heard the stories about how they wanted to, you know, essentially sterilize blacks and Jews originally when they started.
Yeah.
But when you look at Planned Parenthood right now, when they offer abortion services, they offer STD testing and stuff like that.
Right.
You know.
And 75% of them are all in the hood. They're all the Planned Parenthood. And this is what I say, and I speak to that often. Mm-hmm. And I almost, it's synonymous to me with the government. Of course, the government has done some very helpful and amazing things. But we can't just praise them for how wonderful they are and then deny all the negative things they've done. We got to hold them accountable for everything. So yeah, great. The government, we have a nice postal service that works really well, but you can't deny all the prisons and the poor public education. And it's the same thing with Planned Parenthood. I commend, and I'm pretty sure they have growth, and I don't, whatever their foundation, or now I can't even say their foundation, whatever their infrastructure is today, I'm 100% sure that they're way better and have evolved more than when Margaret Sanger was there. But I'm talking about the infrastructure. I'm talking about this system that was not designed for us. This and how it's the mindset that black people, lower class people, Latino people are less than all of the elites. That's my issue. And that's why I say I have an issue with privatized prisons. I have an issue with all of these corporations that are all the liquor stores in the hood and all the fast food restaurants that are constantly, this is all we have. This is you've put us in this area and you surround us by all of this death. And then you get mad at us and point fingers at us and say, we'll never be able to excel. You guys are feeble-minded. You guys are less than. No, this is the system in which you placed us in. And we still excelling. We still getting out of it. But then when we want to raise the flag and say, look what you're doing, then all of a sudden we're wrong.
Right. Well, you actually went to the Republican National Convention.
Yeah.
And you had a stance of the parties have to earn the black vote. We're not just going to stand behind Hillary Clinton just because she's not Donald Trump.
Right.
But then Donald Trump won.
The lesser of two evils. Bro, I say it was pick your oppressor. I didn't care who was the president. It's all about pageantry. You're not voting on policy. You're voting on a personality. You know what I mean? Policy is given to the president by the people who have the real money. You know what I mean? Said, this is what we're going to tell you to get out there and represent. And that's why I was like, hey, if to each his own.
I don't know. I mean, I think Obama did a few things that were anti-big business.
Yeah,
there's Obamacare in general has really fucked up the medical business.
100%.
A lot. But what it did give is it got rid of pre-existing conditions and allowed everyone to have health insurance, which otherwise wouldn't have had it, which I thought was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But that's anti-big business. And that's something that Obama put together himself.
2007, I was a surrogate for Obama. Even though I don't believe in the two-party political structure, I was out there campaigning with that brother just because I needed to see the first black president for what that was going to mean for the culture. And from 2007 to this day, he is the same solid, upstanding individual. But the institution of the president, that's a monster, man. Like, I can't subscribe to that. And I think he did a phenomenal job. Such class, such grace. But I think he's going to do so many more amazing things outside of his presidency. And you're about to see it because, man, that all of that stuff, man, that's bells and whistles, dog. Like, they set it up to want to make you think that you are making a choice. That's why they divide us so they can control us. And I'm fine if people are comfortable in that space. And sometimes the conversation gets a little too deep and they start calling you crazy and conspiracy theorists and all that. But honestly, it's in the books. All you got to do is read it. It's right there. It's history. It's facts. I'm only talking facts. I'm not talking about anything that I thought. These are things that is truly documented.
Well, when you talk about picking the lesser of two evils, when you see the amount of racism and ugliness that Trump has brought out of America to the light. Yeah. I mean, I know you've said before, I like to see my racism.
Put my racism in my face. You know what I mean? I'd rather you be a wolf and I know this motherfucker about to bite me than you be a fox and you sneak up and bite me in the ass. And that's what a lot of those times, it's because it's all about money, man. It's big business at the end of the day. And we've seen it on both of those parties are corrupt. And both of those parties believe that they are better than the class of people that are really about what America is all about.
Well, here's what's interesting about Donald Trump. Trump is the first U.S. president in all of U.S. history that did not have any political, diplomatic, or military experience.
Very true.
He was he had zero experience. And now, like, I heard that The Rock is considering running for president. I mean, we heard all the Kanye stuff, and that was cool, but no one really took that seriously.
But I mean, they've been saying that, man. Like, Will Smith was going to run at one time.
Well, I mean, but now you have a situation where a celebrity
It's a popularity contest, Vlad.
And won. And, you know, like, I remember there was this really great Bun B interview that I heard recently where he just basically said, like, the reason why he thought Trump won was he was going into all these places where he's the most famous person that's ever been there.
He's the American dream for the lower class individual that maybe didn't get to where they wanted to get to. When you go into these places like, you know, West Virginia, South Carolina, they see this man coming in with the ties and speaking all strong. They're like, that's what I think the president should look like. And, you know, and he's saying what he's not holding back and all that. And it's unfortunate because it is a personality and popularity contest. And we knew Hillary Clinton wasn't popular. So he knew he had an in, and look where it got us.
I mean, would you ever consider running?
Hell no.
Why?
Only because, honestly, at the level I've reached and the amount of money that I've generated, I feel like it's truly my duty at this point to give back, to be a philanthropist. That's what I want to be, a great humanitarian. I will give my last, I want to die broke. I want to give every single penny that I make away. My family will be well off and they'll be good. And everything else after that, I want to give I want to build community centers. Right now I'm working on building my own children's hospital. These are the things that's legacy. That's wealth. That's leaving greatness. I don't really care about this little decision between what this person believes and this person believes and policy, because those things don't necessarily make a difference. The people who really make a difference are on a local level. The people who are actually focusing on education, the people who are actually focusing on creating jobs. That's what it's all about, because there's always going to be a debate at the top. It's always going to be lobbyists thinking their issues are more important than the others, and whoever has the most money are the people who are going to win. So if you really care about your community, you got to get on a local level, vote on that level. Don't just worry about the election that comes every 4 years. There's policy that's being decided on each and every day in your community.
As someone who's really had money for a long time, I mean, once you started reaching 8 digits,
right?
What is it that you really learned about money that you had no idea about before?
That it ain't worth shit. Honestly, once you get to a certain level, and that's why I went back to school, man. Knowledge is real wealth. They can't take that away from you. I always tell people, when you think about it, it takes the same amount of paper, the same amount of money to make the $1 bill as it does to make the $100 bill. And when you think about the deficit that this country is in, that paper ain't really worth nothing, man. Especially when you look at the globalization of everything. And as Americans, sometimes we can have this arrogant mindset that we're the end-all, be-all. But it's places like Asia, China, people that they out there, they really rocking. They really making a difference. And they're really doing it for their culture, their people. And we going to look up, man, and they're going to be so far past us that we ain't going to be able to play catch up. And so our American dollar is great. And that's what I'm saying. Really, I appreciate the liberty that money has given me. Because if you look at my career and everything, I've never given a fuck. I say what I want, I do what I want, I move how I want. And I've still been able to be successful in that space. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a boss. You know, I have people that I work with, and sometimes if we clash, then I'm not gonna work with you no more. I don't need your job. I don't need, like, we can get down, you know, on a corporate level, and we can make some great decisions. We can get down on a creative level. But I don't have a boss, and I never move like that, and that's because of where I've been placed financially. But I think that's more in my mindset, because if I wanted to dance and do the little jig, and I probably could have done so many other things, but I got morals, man. I got integrity, and I like to have fun. I'm silly. I'm all over the top. I'm probably one of the most jovial people that you'll meet and can get along with. But when it comes down to brass tacks and business, I don't play.
Right, because when I interviewed Russell Simmons, we had this argument back and forth about the importance of money.
It's just a fucking game, kid. There's nothing they can give you in the world to make you happy or unhappy. Nothing. Your inside Your perception of happiness is all that matters. The happy homeless guy is shitting all over your rich ass in the game of life, because he gonna check out and you're gonna check out. None of y'all niggas gonna make it out of here alive. And they're never gonna give you anything that's gonna make you any more or less happy.
He makes a great point when he talks about actually being, the whole purpose of life ultimately is the pursuit of happiness. That's what we all want. We want to be able to be happy. And he always says that money doesn't make you happy, happy makes you money. I agree with that 100%. You know, if you could wake up in a great space, creatively, it doesn't even matter. You're gonna generate the right energy. I always say currency is just energy. You know what I mean? And it can go one way or another. That's why I always give. That's why, you know, there's a lot of religions who believe in tithing. That's a concept that actually works, because the more you give, the more will come to you. Now, who you give it to, that's based on your own beliefs. But it's all energy, man. It's all reciprocated. And if you do it from a positive aspect, if you give with an open heart, if you truly care about people, if you truly care about your community, it's always gonna come. It's when you start getting stingy, it's when you want what he got, when you think he want what you got, that's when the shit breaks down.
When you start building up that integrity, and when you start looking at more than just the money because you're not worried about your bills, you start to go into a different, psychological state.
Real talk. And you start to evolve, man, and you actually, I think Jay-Z talked about this in his later albums, where he's just saying like, yeah, it's like I'm changing because I'm becoming a better person. You know what I mean? When you on that grind, it's a different mentality. You're just trying to get as much as you can. And I still have that hustler's mentality. I don't turn down nothing but my collar most of the time. That stay pop. So it's like but it's, you never want to compromise your integrity. And at some point, you just stop caring. You know what I mean? You stop saying, I don't need to go check chasing today. I'd rather go and spend time with my family. I'd rather go read a good book. And to have the liberty to do that is a blessing.
I mean, why did you decide to go to Howard, as opposed to like a Harvard or
Man, Howard is the
Yale?
Mecca. Honestly, so many different reasons. One, I mean, I could have did the Harvard Business School. I was actually looking into NYU because, one of my cribs is on the East Coast in New York. So I was like, okay, that's going to be easy. But one, I felt like I needed to study at an HBCU. And if I was going to study at an HBCU, I wanted to be in Washington, D.C., because I'm always on the Hill. I'm always up there speaking. I'm always going to the Senate. I'm doing that type of stuff. And to actually get an education from an institution that is across the street from the White House, it really or not necessarily across the street, like down the street, a few blocks over, all of that. But to be in that same vicinity and to be studying, strategic legal and management in the world of communications with the focus on legal, I just feel like I'm in the zeitgeist of where I need to be as I get to that next phase in my life. Because entertainment is great and I'm always utilize it, but to me, I feel like there's a next level of me just being that, man, a great thinker, a philosopher, somebody that is really diving in. And it's been people who went to Howard and like Stokely Carmichael. It's been people as great poets. It's been people that Frederick Douglass influenced that institution. So to come from a legacy like that, I was like, I need to be there and soak up everything that's there so we can really make a change in our communities.
Well, I mean, you've been a big supporter of Black Lives Matter.
100%. Truly.
A lot of people who get to a certain financial position, they don't want to potentially jeopardize their business relationships and their political relationships and everything else like that.
Yeah.
What made you still focus on that, even though you knew that it might, mess up some of your
First of all, I'm always stand for what's right. And I think everybody who knows me, who's ever come across me, knows I'm a solid dude. I'm a good person. I have no ulterior motives. And so therefore that allows me to speak my mind in such an open and honest way. I don't give a fuck what other people think about me. Never have. And so if I see something wrong, if I see a fire, I'm going to scream fire. You know what I mean? Because it's something going on over there. And I'm going to do everything in my ability to help put that fire out. So when it came to the Black Lives Matter movement, it was in everything. I spoke on it in such an honest way that I understood it. And it wasn't, to me, like, even, I went down to Dallas and met with the Dallas Police Department and did a spoken word piece after the tragedy that occurred there, because at no point am I ever saying every police officer is bad. The police, it's not about individuals being bad. It's about the systemic issue. The system is bad. The way it was built, the idea of policing itself comes from overseers. That needs to be fixed. That was not designed for us. That was designed to police us, not to protect us. That needs to be fixed. And that's in one of the classes. I have an Inside Out class at Howard University through the Dr. Muhammad experience, where we actually sat with the Baltimore Police Department. We went on ride-alongs. We had these discussions about Mike Brown, Freddie Gray, all of these things, and we broke it down with police officers, get into heated conversations. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? And it's all to bring us all closer together. I think we all want the same thing. All we want is respect for life, on no matter what you look like, no matter who you work for, no matter what uniform you put on. We just want you to respect us, and that we want to feel safe in our own communities.
People are going to look at this, this interview, and they're going to think, well, Nick is saying this, but Nick has been a celebrity since he was a teenager. And once you're a celebrity, you're somewhat in a bubble. You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of
I was in the south side of
Chicago
marching the other day. I don't want no bubble over there.
Okay, well, what happened?
But that's the thing. Like, to me, I'm on the ground level. That's why I actually, you see, I don't do a lot of interviews. They want me to be on Fox News, CNN, all talking about this stuff. Political discourse does nothing for me, because that's not going to help. Because you want to win an argument, because you want ratings, you're the media. I'm good. I talk to you because you're my man. But I don't get out there saying, ooh, look at me, look what I'm doing. I'm actually putting my time, money, and focus in the communities to make sure that these young people have opportunities. I do so much that people don't know about, that and that's not even to put a feather in my hat or none of that. It's like, because I feel like too much is given, much is required. And to your point, like you said, a lot of people think, and we've had this conversation before, and then in the comments they go crazy. So I don't even like to get out there and glorify this. But I didn't grow up with the silver spoon in my mouth. Everybody made, I've always looked young. So cats, I was a grown man when I was on Nickelodeon, and I had come from a lifestyle that wasn't conducive, wasn't safe. And so when I had the opportunity to get out the hood, I put the corny suit on and rolled. You know what I mean? Like on some Kaiser Soze shit. I'm going to be this guy until I'm going to figure out what to do in front of the camera. I'm going to figure out what to do behind the camera. I'm going to make all this money, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to give it to my hood. I'm going to go back and I'm going to build community centers. I'm going to go back and I'm going to build children's hospitals. And that's the space that I'm in life right now, because I've done everything my ego can handle at this point. I done had every woman I've ever wanted. I done had every car I ever wanted. I got diamond shoes. Now I'm just doing dumb, stupid shit with money. So it's like, instead of doing that, let me give it back and enrich my people. And then teach my people that it's not about the amount of money that you have, it's what you do with your money and how you build yourself up with your money. Invest in your education, invest in your community, invest in your people.
Right. I mean, because we had done that interview a while back where we talked about used to be a blood.
I wouldn't say I joined the gang. Like, it wasn't like the Boys and Girls Club or like one of those things where you could walk up and sign up. I grew up in a neighborhood in Southeast San Diego to where, this public assistance area called Bay Vista, and that was kind of the thing, like. The cat you grew up with, and then this was
gangbanging.
Yeah, I'm not actually, if anything, I was always trying to get away from it.
You're affiliated with the people that are in your family. When you walk outside, these are the people that protect you. These are the people that made sure I got to school safely and held me down and told me, you know what, dog, you don't need to be out here with the rags and the khakis and all of that. You got something special. We gonna hold you and your family down. And that I come from that community, and I go back to that community constantly. I still live in that community in Southeast San Diego. I still own property there. I still have centers. I still have events there in my community. Now, was I out there banging and doing that? I was a stupid young little kid. Like a lot of these kids who glorify gang banging, especially coming up during the Menace to Society times and Boys in the Hood. I thought it was cool to carry a gun. I didn't care if it had no bullets in it. Like I was doing dumb shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I never want to glorify that, you know, and I think that's when I see a lot of these artists come up now and you want to join a gang after you become a millionaire. Like, man, you know how hard it was for me to get away from that shit? You know how many drive-bys I barely got out? Like, as soon as somebody told me I could get out the hood, I was gone. Because, and it took me years before I could even go back to the neighborhood in which I was, because that shit, people take that shit light. That shit ain't light. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people that will go to college, think it was sweet, come back and get killed. You know what I mean? So we had to move in a way, and like, you know, it's still a lot of triv going down where I'm from, but it's calmed down quite a bit because the communities are coming together, and I never that's the thing, I never like to glorify gang violence or being tough, because that's not what it's about. Real tough cats take care of their family. Real tough cats take care of their community. Real tough cats know how to war with this and not guns. Anybody can shoot a gun. I go to gun range all the time. Ain't nothing. But it's about, if you really about yours, you on some toe-to-toe man-to-man shit.
So, I mean, that brings up a really good point, because we've discussed this on Vlad TV a bunch of times. We talk about artists who blow up and then start gangbanging afterwards. Like, you've seen it with Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
You've seen it with Chris Brown. I mean, did you see that Lil Wayne interview about, you know, he said, I don't give a fuck about Black Lives Matter, and then he pulled his rag out.
You know
and said, I care about this gangbanging.
Yeah, you know what it is, man. And then obviously, I've had this conversation with Chris. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. It happens, and it happened to me. When you come into money and fame and all that stuff at a very young age, you feel like you got to prove something to the world. You feel you got to prove you a man. You got to feel like you got to prove you a real nigga. You got to prove you hardcore. You know what I mean? Because everybody's always like, oh, you grew up on TV. You grew up making records. You got a silver spoon in your mouth. So you want to show them, nah, I'm a thug. I'm a riot. I'm going to go get these tats. I'm going to get this gun. I'm going to hang out with the thuggest people. So it don't matter at what point, I'm still showing you I'm a real man. And it's a concept that it's insecurity mixed in with the lack of guidance. Because if you have real strong men in your life to say, that's what I had big homies that, because when I was like, I want to rep this and do all of this, it was like, dog, why? What do you have to prove? You made it. You ain't got to tell everybody how hood you are and what gang you from. Like, you made it. You giving back. You don't need to tell nobody what you doing. Like, you help. Like, that's real man shit. A real man knows that he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. Because ultimately, when you think about the idea of why gangs were designed, it was young men looking for guidance. It was young men looking for father figures because there was no father in the household. And these OGs were protecting their community from other communities, from other groups of people. Ultimately, it started that most of these gangs were created to protect us from racial tension. And then because money got involved, we turned on each other.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. I think if we get, and that's why people are always like, oh, why are you wearing a turban? Why are you doing it? Like, if we can just recondition the mindsets just a little bit and focus on, it ain't about being a savage, it ain't about being a thug, man. We come from royalty. We kings. If you walk in a room like a king, you're gonna get everything you want. You're gonna get every chick you want. You're gonna get all the money you want. But for some reason, they tweaked our brain and said, no, it's cooler, it's more acceptable to be a savage. It's more acceptable to be a thug. That's what you want. You gotta go to prison. That's your rite of passage. Let them lock you in a cage and then come home and we gonna celebrate that you home. But when you go to college, don't nobody give a shit when you come home. But I just went and built myself up. Like, that's if we could just change the mindset just a little bit. Because we know what we got. We know how powerful we are. You know what I mean? But we want to be, we rather go the negative way and say, yeah, I'll beat your ass. I'm a savage. Opposed to like, nah, let me uplift you. Let me show you, instead of saying, look how many bodies I caught. No, look how many communities I helped.
You have a boy and a girl, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, having kids who are black or mixed or however society...
Beige.
Beige. You know, when you look at like the young boys that have been killed by police.
Yeah, man.
And you see what's happening. Do you think once you had a black son, that really started to really hit you a lot harder? Because at one point, he's going to be driving a car by himself. He's going to get pulled over by the police.
Yeah.
And you have to think, how is he going to handle that situation to walk away from it?
I ain't gonna front. Like, obviously, you know, my children in dealing with the police will have different relationships like, than the average person. You know what I mean? I always feel like it's my job to establish normalcy in my kids, but they're not normal. I know that shit. He's gonna experience an officer not giving a shit who he is, calling him
Right.
boy, roughing him around at some point in his life. And that does concern me a great deal. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I say this to my son. I said this to my younger brothers, to cats that I still rock with when I go to the hood and talk to them. It's all about respect at the end of the day. And that's where shit normally goes wrong, because someone is not respecting someone else in that situation. Whether it's the officer not respecting the person that is supposedly committing a crime, or vice versa. But if you carry yourself with the utmost respect, if you carry yourself like a king and you demand respect in a way that they feel that energy and that frequency from the moment they step up to you, how you look, how you walk, the terms you use, knowing the law, knowing and saying it in a way that they understand that you're calling them by officer such and such, badge number such and such and such and such. Sir, I comply with what you're saying. Do you have, knowing all of the right things to say, they're gonna deal with you differently than if you just say, man, well, what the fuck you pull me over for? Oh, fucking cops. It's so, once you respect yourself, and it goes back to reconditioning that mindset, it goes back to building yourself up. That's the only power we have, is that education, is that knowledge, because then they gotta deal, they can't just deal with you like you just some regular old nigga. They were like, oh, this, he knows something. He's carrying himself in a different manner than I'm used to. And that's all I can teach my son. That's all I can hope, is that I can infuse and input that mentality, like, yo, you're a king, you're royalty, you're brilliant, you're great. You're gonna take things beyond where I have taken them.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what's happening to young black boys, you know, between the Trayvon Martins and, you know, all the other incidents that have happened over the last few years, I mean, do you think that things are getting worse with the police, or do you think there's just more cameras around?
It's more cameras, and it's always been that way. That's the issue that I'm be honest, it's modern day eugenics. It's always been around. From Trump becoming president and him wanting to build walls and get rid of people, eugenics. Privatized prisons, eugenics. Making sure that there's sterilization clinics and population control clinics in our communities, eugenics. Putting everything from diseases to horrible foods to liquor in our communities to make us, to control us. And we're gonna quarantine you guys over here, let you die off, move you out, because now you're gone, and build condos and call it gentrification. It's been that way. But now, because the overseers are being caught on camera, now it's like, before they hid it. They were like, oh, we can't, no, this isn't. But now everybody's seeing it, is being brought to light. But this has been going on for years, man. This is the system. They think that we are less than. That's the bottom line. It's documented. Whether it's Darwin, whether it's the Rockefellers, whether it's Carnegie, all of these people think that African Americans, Latinos, anything other than Anglo-Saxons, anything other than the elite, anything other than European blood, they feel like all of those people are beneath them. And therefore, they're going to treat them like they're beneath them until we stand up and show them that we're not beneath them.
I mean, you do see a rise in like the Ku Klux Klan presence in America
Absolutely.
right now.
But it's been that way.
It's been that way, but it seems more in your face right now.
Yeah, because Trump is in office. They feel like they got them
right,
one.
and this is what I'm talking about. You know, for example, like
They
you know,
party.
we reported on a story that MCA from the Beastie Boys, he has a memorial park in Brooklyn, and there were swastikas painted in the park.
Yeah, and the thing,
You
the
know?
swastika necessarily, that was not, they took that. The Nazis took that. That wasn't a negative sign. They
Right.
took that and
but
turned
these
that.
days it's a pretty negative.
It's a horrible sign now, but that's what I'm saying. It's that idea. It's mind control. It's programming. It's always been there, Vlad. It ain't never going away. But now,
but right now it's out there, and the thing that bothers me is that Trump doesn't seem to denounce these groups that are celebrating.
Because he's the leader. He's rocking with them.
Wait, so you're saying that Trump is the leader of the Ku Klux Klan?
Not
Like,
the Ku Klux Klan.
it's-
He's the top dog of the free world right now. And if we're getting into how his mentality is, and he has that mindset that it's documented in his books that he's on top. He wants to put his name everywhere. He's above certain people. And that mentality for some reason, that's become the American dream, to be on top, opposed to everybody enjoying a great life. And so when people who have believed this all the time, that they are superior, whether it's the white nationalists, whatever, when they feel like, yo, we got one, the guy who thinks how I think, of course, I'm going to be out. I'm going to be a little bit more bold. It's funny. My new stand-up special I'm shooting for Showtime, I talk about that. I talk about how they bold now. They dancing out there like we was dancing when Obama was elected. Because when Obama was elected, we was partying. We was happy. That was something to be proud. I was proud to see a black man in the White House. That's the most amazing first family I've ever seen. So in the same way, you see all of these dudes like Sherman and all these dudes coming out, the white nationalists, they proud. That look like they daddy in the White House. They daddy hair was fucked up like Donald's. They daddy suit was oversized like Donald's. Like they can relate to that, so they happy and they sticking their chest out.
Well, Praz from the Fugees, he was at my house.
I got introduced to this super PAC called Black Men Vote, and it was, like I said, to go trying to register black men to go and vote. And so I donated the money to the super PAC.
I mean, you're someone who's made a lot of money and has invested his money and so forth, but 1.2 million is still a very significant amount. Why did you decide to put so much of your own money into the Obama campaign?
Because I believed in the cause, and I also I had the money to do it. You know what I mean? But I felt like instead of go buy another watch, let me do something that's going to affect my life and my children's life and everyone else's life.
Did he really? Because, I mean, and again, yes, because I know as someone who has donated to people and stuff, there's a cap of a certain amount. I think.
Well, he donated to a super PAC.
Oh, okay, got you. Because I was like, there's laws against that shit. You can go to jail. You give somebody too much money.
He donated to a Democratic super PAC, which in turn
got it. That's
distributed
dope.
money, to like some swing states where Obama ended up winning and so
Yeah.
forth. But, we were talking about how when you look at like the 60s, you only had a few black millionaires. You had Muhammad Ali, you had Harry Belafonte.
People I look up to.
You had Sidney Poitier.
Yep.
There's a small handful, but all
Paul
of them.
Robeson.
What's that?
I said Paul Robeson. He was the OG of all of them. He was the guy who inspired Malcolm X and all of those cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you look at those groups of people, most of them ended up banding together and kind of fighting against social injustice. You fast forward to 2016, 2017, you have a lot of black millionaires. But only a very small percentage are actually speaking out.
That's interesting, too.
Why do you think that is?
It's funny. Well, one, Harry Belafonte pulled me aside years ago and said, I'm passing you the torch. It's documented as well. We did an interview, I believe it was on Stars at the time. We had to sit down man to man for like 2 hours. I got a chance to, and I learned so much from that brother, man. The fact that he did so many things. He was the cornerstone in the civil rights movement, financially and everything. He introduced John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, all type of stuff. Like, and people don't even know, like, Harry Belafonte was the first person to ever go platinum. You know what I mean? With the Banana song, Dayo. You know what I mean? So the million.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, people didn't know that. So like, and you know, everything from the Tonys on Broadway to just amazing. But he said, what are you? That's what he asked me. He said, what are you? I'm like, what you mean? I'm an entertainer. He's like, you ain't an entertainer. He's like, that's too broad. What are you? I'm a black man. You know that. But he got to my core to really say, to get me to understand that I am a steward of our community. And the fact that I had the opportunity and the blessing to be able to do all the things that I do, I have to now give back. And when I see that, I wish so many other people would have heard this conversation, because we get caught up in that mentality, like, I got mine, you know, I work hard for mine, and you can't enrich your people in that way. You got to stand up, you got to say something, you got to speak on it. And I commend every young brother and sister that do that today. And I feel like, you know, with this new presidency, the civil rights movement, that was, we made some great leaps and bounds. But Martin Luther King said it the best. He was like, yeah, we come a long way, but we got a long way to go. And it's in our face right now. It's in our face more than it's ever been. And we need people to step up, and we can't be quiet. And we got to show that we're leaders, we're kings, and warriors if we need to be.
You look at the 60s and you look at the black leaders, you know, you look at Martin Luther King, you look at Malcolm X. You look at now, and I remember me and Lord Jamar were talking about this. I don't know who the leader of Black Lives Matter is. Well, you also don't see any clear leaders in Black Lives Matter. You had D. Ray. He's been kind of the face of Black Lives Matter for a while.
Why, when he's not the leader? You see what I'm
That's what I'm
saying?
saying, there's no real
Why
leader.
is he? There is leaders. This is what I'm telling you. They're lesbians. They're black lesbians.
I think there is one.
Yeah, there's two
But-
young ladies from the Bay Area.
You see what I'm saying? But I have no idea who it is. I mean, I know there's D. Ray. You know, we've interviewed him before. You know, he's somewhat prominent. But how come there's no one at the level of a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X today?
And honestly, I mean, that's why I ain't going. I feel like that is a vacant space, and
Right.
I want to utilize my voice. I never would ever say I would be able to be a Malcolm X or a Martin, but I'm inspired by brothers like Harry Belafonte who backed those gentlemen. I'm inspired by Dick Gregory, who is also a mentor of mine, who backed those gentlemen, who was one of the greatest stand-up comics to give opportunities to everybody, to Bill Cosby, to Richard Pryor, and was still a civil rights activist. I feel like I'm an activist at heart, and that's why I said, and that's one of the reasons why I said, if I'm gonna be speaking on these things, if I'm gonna be in these forums, I made all the money that I want to make. Now it's time to educate and build up myself to be able to speak for a community. So, and Pac said it best. You know, like, I may not change the world, but I'm definitely gonna spark the mind that will. And that's what we got to do. We can't think about, ooh, I want to be the next person, or we need to find our next leader. We all can be leaders. We all can make a difference. And that's why I created the Halo Awards for Nickelodeon. It stands for helping and leading others, spreading that halo effect, because one good deed can change the world. As corny and cliche as that sounds, I feel like the millennials, whatever, I love y'all, do y'all thing, but these post-millennials, these kids who don't give a fuck what color their skin is, who in the sandbox, and everybody's beige, and everybody, you know what I mean? They're gonna do some remarkable things, because it's not gonna be about separating each other. It's not gonna be about infusing hate, because they're all connected through technology, through the infrastructure in a way that we've never been before. And that's why the purists are so upset and so riled up, because they know they're a minority now. They know that's why they mad. They making the most noise and saying that they're the ones that need to step up, because they know we got a couple more years and ain't gonna be no more of them. And so as we all come together as humanity, as the human race, this post-millennial generation is gonna take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it.
Exactly. Hopefully we gonna be old saying, man, we did it, but we in the fight right now. It's a real fight right now.
I mean, but if you take a look at what's happening now, like when you look at the white people that have had the power in this country for so long.
Right. They don't want to let it go.
They don't want to let that go.
They nervous. That's why they out there upset, you know, and I get it. You know what I mean? If this was your house for 400 years and if somebody come in and move your ass out, you gonna have some complaints. So, hey, I'm all the way with it, man. Like I'm up for a good fight. You know what I mean? It's a competition. You had a 500-year head start. Nigga, I'm on your ass. Like,
I mean, have you ever had a situation where you think you lost a business deal over your stance on certain things?
all the time. I've turned down business deals, like multi-million-dollar deals, just because.
Okay. So don't name the names, but give me an example of something you've turned down.
I turn down fast food stuff all the time because
Really?
I feel like a lot of these fast food companies are destroying our inner cities and not giving back enough. If I do to any deal you see me take, I ask them what's their nonprofit do for inner cities, what's their nonprofit do for African Americans, what's their nonprofits do for Latinos, and if it lines up with mine, then I rock with them. And that stuff matters to me first and foremost. But there's also been times where I've said, because of my turban. You know what I mean? People get calls and complaints all the time, which is the most racist and culturally insensitive thing I've ever heard. But they were like, oh, well, does he have to wear the turban on this? And as soon as they ask that question, I'm like, I'm good. We cool. Even if I didn't plan on doing it, because I know I'm professional. I dress for the occasion. You know what I mean? Like, but just when someone asks a culturally insensitive question like that, that usually turns me off.
What's your take on the whole Kaepernick thing and how he took his stand?
I salute Kaepernick. I love everything that he's standing for. That is an individual, and he's utilizing his platform. And I feel like I'm in a very similar place, and I feel his energy because. That's why, I read 5 books a week, trying to learn so much more because I know the media, I know people are going to be at me asking questions, and I want to give the strongest, most firm answer that represent my beliefs. But they'll throw so much shit at you and try to get these little soundbite fights going, and this person said this, and this person said this, to sensationalize and separate that you almost don't even want to talk. You know what I mean? You want to say what you got to say and then get out. And I feel like the media is on him so much because his brother is standing for what he believes in. But at certain times, they trying to trip him up. And I rock with him, man, because anybody who stands for what they believe in, don't give a fuck about what the media say, don't give a fuck about what all these people say, and they truly feel is right in their spirit, I salute that.
Well, no, I mean, I think he realizes that his legacy is going to go down for his stance on social issues as opposed to football.
Absolutely.
Because he was a good football player, but he's not considered one of the absolute greats.
As long as he continues to feed those fruits to the community, I don't have no problem with that. Jim Brown, but he's one of the best to ever do it.
Right.
but same thing. When civil rights came, he was right there. Muhammad Ali, the best. Right there. Mm-hmm. Paul Robeson, like I spoke of, Paul Robeson was so cold. Cats don't even know. Not only was my dude a football player, he was also a theatrical actor, a singer, like all this. But people knew him for being an activist, for being somebody who inspired Malcolm X, who inspired all of these people. And by the time he was a little older when the civil rights movement happened, but he's the one that spawned all of that mindset that we truly are kings and that we truly are equal, if not at a place to where we can do. Imagine you saw this dude at 6'7" that's singing, dancing, playing football, owning businesses. You're gonna be like, yo, there's something special about that dude. And with Kaepernick, he's a gladiator. He's a quarterback in the NFL, and he's standing for what he believes in. That's inspiring.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, one of the things he's kind of getting bashed for right now is some of his comments about Fidel Castro.
Right.
What's your take on Fidel Castro?
And that's the thing. I honestly believe we have to educate ourselves. Soon as I started seeing all of this stuff go down with Fidel, I knew a little bit, and I had studied a little bit about Che, You know what I mean? More than Fidel. So I knew a little bit, and I knew that there's two sides, or I'll say there's three sides to every story. So I started doing a little bit more research on Fidel, and then, you know, the meeting with Malcolm X, and, you know, how, you know, he gave refuge to Sister Shakur and all of those type of things.
Right.
And I respected, saluted all of the things that he did in apartheid. But there's some people, just like in any government system, that don't love him and felt like he was an oppressor in the same way. But people feel the same way about Barack Obama. There's people who love Obama, and there's people who say there's some people we have bombed that think Obama ain't shit. That because there's babies that have lost their lives in countries that went, because war in itself is a horrible thing. So for me to pass judgment on a man that I haven't done enough research on personally, I can't speak and don't have the liberty to speak to that. But I believe that man, as a leader, and what he did represented for a group of people that did agree with him, and there's some that didn't agree with him.
I think a lot of the thing that's ruining people right now, you know, and I just got back from London, is that a lot of the world looks to America for leadership.
Yes.
The most powerful country,
Leader
you
of the
know,
free
the most
world.
economically,
Yeah.
you know, empowered, you know, culturally. So when America goes and elects a Donald Trump and says, hey, it's okay for a racist to be in the top office and everyone can express their racism, it's all good, that you're going to start seeing that in the rest of the world. Like you already, you know, Brexit has happened before, but it's along the same vein as to what's happening in America. And, you know, you're going to start seeing it, you know, like in France, there's sort of like a Donald Trump type figure that's starting to gain power. You know, you're going to start seeing it around the world.
Again, this shit ain't new, Vlad. You ever heard of a dude named Ronald Reagan? Like, that motherfucker was an actor. Like,
right, but Ronald Reagan actually had political experience when he went into office. He was the governor of California.
But like, Donald, I hear you. I definitely agree that, you know, he's the governor and all that stuff. But
Right.
I still think what Reagan stood for, Reaganomics, the crack epidemic, all, you know, all that. Just, it again goes back to that mentality. There's an elite group of people and fuck everybody else. Same concept. But people tend to forget about all of the things that went wrong and how tough it was for the communities. And that's when, and that's why I actually have a problem with the government and the two-party system, is because, of course, you're always going to be able to highlight the good shit. You know, we always going to be under George Bush. You know, he did so much for world AIDS. Yeah, but there also, AIDS was infused into our communities. You created a problem so you could fix the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're always going to find some, oh no, but look what the good we did. But they never want to hold them accountable for the shit that's fucked up until it's too late. So I think ultimately it just has to get to the shit is going to hit the fan. And when it hits the fan, hopefully we can grow after that. And that's why I'm like, hey, motherfuckers is out there, they putting it out there now. They talking about it. They letting they racist flags fly. So let's get to it if we got to get to it, because it all stems from ignorance. So once you say the most ignorant shit you could possibly say, get that shit out. You think you're going to hurt my feelings. You think you better than me, all of that shit. And when you realize that isn't the case, now what? Now what we going to do?
Well, I mean, is it really not the case? Because I think most black people, if a white person approached them and used the N-word in a hateful manner with the R
It's about
fully
to go down.
pronounced, I don't think most black people be like, yeah, whatever, that don't bother me. Like, it's still such a loaded word.
You got to be evolved. You got the king in me has to step up. Because people are always going to throw rocks at the throne.
Okay, so
it goes back to respect.
Okay, so you mean to tell me? Hold on. So you claim that you're involved in, you know.
I didn't say I was involved.
Okay, like let's just say someone walked up to your kids and called them that. You would be able to hold your composure?
Who was the person?
A white person, a white redneck called your kids the N-word. You'd be able to hold your kingly composure and not do anything, not react?
Nah, that's his ass. He go. But
Right.
I'd have to do it. To me, because this is one thing. I don't have a temper. I don't get in arguments. We can have a debate. We can have discourse. But you're not going to emotionally stimulate me. I'm not going to give you that power. So the only reason why I'm going to beat his ass is because he deserves it. Not because he upset me, but because he disrespected my children. I don't care what you call my children anything, we're gonna have to deal with it. We're gonna have to, as man to man, you're gonna disrespect me and my family, we're gonna deal with it. I'm not gonna be upset, I'm not gonna be crazy. And that's I think that comes from a lot of my martial arts teaching, is because once you know what you have, and when they give you this ability to, those who have power, it comes with great responsibility. So if someone deserves an ass whooping, they gonna get it, but I'm not gonna lose it. I'm gonna whoop their ass in a legal form that I know I'm not gonna get sued. I know that I'm not gonna go to jail, but he's definitely gonna feel them consequences in some matter form. I hire a lot of off-duty police officers. Me and him, we gonna have a little conversation, make sure the redneck is handled.